time for the one time. It's the family bloodline.
Hey, family, what's good? I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome back. Welcome back for another reading, as it were, a continued reading of Project 2025 with the Family Bloodline podcast. So, um, waiting for my other guest to hop in, and just to get everyone caught up as to where I am now, I have gone through the different reforms or recommended reforms for the different branches of the military, and I am currently starting talking about the um, talking about education reform. So we'll continue the reading shortly, waiting for co-host to join so we can hop into it. But I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to continue reading it and not hear it secondhand, but actually reading it firsthand to an audience so everyone can actually understand and hear what it says, and not just because a lot of people say, "Yeah, I read it, I've been reading it, yada 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 yada." But what I'm trying to do, and what I hope I'm doing, is making sure that people aren't getting caught up in the hype, right? People aren't getting caught up in the hype of what's been propagated about the document and what they think it might say or how they think it might sound. I don't want to do any of that. I want to give an authentic reading of Project 2025. What's going on, cousin? So that we all know, so that you're informed. We want the viewers, we want people to be informed. And not only do we want people to be informed, but we also want people to be able to make uh come to get educated on what things actually say. So that again is the purpose behind reading this, right? So I need to make sure that this is understood also. I I personally don't hate Trump. I just want to say that I personally do not hate former President Trump. I don't know the man. Uh, I never met him, and I do my best to not get caught up in the hype that's being spun by either side of the political spectrum. So I'd rather look at what's being put out, what the things that he supports, and make a voting decision based on that. Deuce, what's good, my man?
What's up, baby? How you doing?
Oh man, I'm doing well. How you feeling today, bro?
Bro, I'm feeling like $1 million, man. I'm feeling
Yeah.
pretty good. Yeah. We're getting ready for this tropical storm out here, but other than
Oh
that,
my
it's all
goodness,
good.
yeah. That's right. That's right. You're gonna be in it. I couldn't remember what state you were in for some reason.
Oh,
My
and
lady.
VA, man. I'm down in
Yeah,
VA.
that's right. Because you up by Cook. Cook is in
Yeah,
VA also. But
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
yeah. But I couldn't remember. Oh, thank you, Maya, who says she really appreciates us taking time to read this document to bring awareness to the general public. And so James Calvin, that's my cousin. He said, "I don't hate or like Trump. I just want what's best for the country." And I think that's the best way to sum it all up. Because what I'd like to do going forward, because again, like we talked last week, I think this is going to be another movement of the family bloodline is that we get like proposed bills from both sides of the aisle and read them to the
Yeah,
listeners,
yeah.
and get some research knocked out so that we can again make sure that people are informed. So I just want to also state that if anybody wants to come up, by all means, I posted the link in the chat, and we don't block, ban, or censor anybody. Your opinions are very much so welcomed, and You can either agree or disagree. We accept and appreciate both. You know,
But they say
I,
attack the ideal, not the man or woman.
absolutely
Attack the ideal, not the person.
not the person. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. And so if it's an idea that we're reading about that we can't get around, we'll tell you in real time how we feel about it. If it's something that we're on board, we'll tell you how we feel about it. And again, I don't. We're not going to always match up or line up with what we'd like to see or what we hear. I expect for Deuce to have different opinions than what I have on things. And for us to have that conversation also. But I tell you one thing that ain't gonna happen. At least on my side, I can tell you 100%, and that is I'm not about to stop being your partner, your brother, just because you have a different view on a specific topic than what I do. What say you?
Yeah, I'm with you on that, man. There's only one topic that I would not appreciate hate on, and that's the greatest football team in college,
Oh
which is
my
Alabama.
goodness.
So as long as people are
Holy
in sync
cow.
with me on that, I'm just saying this is
Oh,
factual. We won the most national championships, so I would not entertain any hate to that. But anything
jeez.
else, fair game, man.
Really?
Yeah, and I've cut family members off because weren't they weren't with me on the Iron Bowl day. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh
other
my
than that, man, we
goodness.
could talk about anything else. But football's religion.
He's a roll tide type of guy. I'm not. I'm not the biggest fan of college football, but what I will say is go Chiefs, because we're about to get back into that season too.
Yeah. It's
So
coming around.
yeah, so I'm excited to hop in on some things and some chats about that. I don't know if you've seen any of the Olympics, but uh,
Oh, bruh, Finland on the mixed relays, man. I was
oh
rooting for
man,
us hard, man. I knew we had it. I knew we
yeah,
had it. I don't know who had that last leg, but she knew we had it. And
yeah.
that Finland girl came cruising in, bruh.
Oh my
At the last
goodness.
minute, didn't break a sweat, didn't miss a stride, bruh. Got me cussing Finland out 6 ways from Sunday, man. I don't know how that happened, but it happened.
We was down here going crazy. What's going on, Cuzzo? How you doing?
Dylan, what's up, my guy?
Oh, you got it. You got it. How
Man,
you feel?
I'm good. You know, I was gonna type this, but it's too much to type. But I'm gonna tell you what I've noticed. I mean, I know you have. Have you noticed how the black people like have swung Trump's way since you see the difference between the first time and the now
So
when he ran?
explain that a little bit more. I'm
Like
trying to
when he
figure.
ran, it was just like black people like, fuck Trump. We ain't vote for Trump. Blah 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 blah. Now this go around. You see black folks like, hell yeah, get him back in office. We need him. I
I,
know more black people for Trump right now than ever since the first time he ran.
is that right?
I, I don't
Hmm.
know if you hell like being serious.
Okay. All right.
And maybe it's down here in Little Rock and a couple other states. But if you notice, even like I follow shit on Instagram, like black folks, they swinging his way. To be honest with you,
Huh. I haven't really seen that out this way. Out where I am, it's mixed. There are people both for VP Harris, and then there's people for Trump.
To his point, I haven't seen it personally, but I'm thinking about celebrities, right? 50 down
Yeah.
with Trump. I can't put any weight towards Sexy Red, man. I'm sorry, but she's
Absolutely.
down for Trump. I'm just not. I hate I even said the name, but 50, from what it seems, is an intelligent cat. So that comes with something. But I
I'm gonna
wonder
tell you,
if
if
when
you
you
notice,
see,
black folks with money voted for Trump. Like it's some black folks that fuck with Trump, like for real.
Hmm.
I think rich black folks. I think I want to do a history, a study on that. Rich black folks in the Republican Party, because the
Fair enough.
Republicans is more so. It's not. Could be racial, debatable, but it's wealth. It's
It
economics
is,
for the Republican Party.
Yes. Yeah. And that's I
man.
think
Um, man, I'm telling you, if you just pay attention now, black folks, I'm telling you, they rolling with Trump right now, bro. And again, like you said, it's a lot of with money, but even the poor, they're like, fuck, we want Trump.
so I'd like to, if you can find somebody next week, have them hop on Wednesday so we can explore that a little bit more. Because
Yeah,
I'd
man,
like
and And the crazy thing is, they're not ashamed now. They're like, bring his ass back. I mean, even you got to remember, Trump won because they didn't want Hillary in office. Biden won because they didn't want Trump back in office.
Okay, that's
So I think you
True.
can agree with that.
Yeah.
that's fair.
So I think, and now our best two options is the VP and Trump. And I mean, that's all we got going for ourselves. And they not finna let a fucking woman get in office, but for some reason, I think she's gonna win.
I
You know-
was go ahead, Deuce.
I'm about to say there's two good points to that. Because one, I want to know when they made the decision to go with Trump. Because when it was Biden and Trump, I felt I didn't rock with Trump. I don't rock with him, but it was a waltz in the park. He was going to win the White House when it was Joe and Trump. Harris, I was like, that's interesting. Her VP pick, she had to pick somebody she had to get a white man. She had to. There was no other choice.
Facts.
The party probably told her that. So with the pick, that was competitive. So I'm curious to when they decided they were going to go with Trump. Was it during the Joe era? And then I want to know some people that probably rock with Trump now because they don't want a black woman in the office.
Oh, now I don't think it's a race with a black woman. It's a woman in general. If Hillary Clinton couldn't win, ain't no woman ever gonna get in office.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. I think that's valid. That made me come out of my feelings a little bit. That reframed the way I was thinking about this whole thing. But you have a very valid point. If Hillary couldn't get in, it probably isn't like. So I do think that the race thing, unfortunately, is a part of it. But broadening my horizons, as it were, it is largely based on it being a woman.
That's exact. I hear them all, Democrats, Republicans, even where I work at down south, where I'm in Arkansas. Hey, ain't no fucking woman gonna leave this country. And I'm gonna show you, Hillary didn't win because they don't trust her. The Clintons, they some savages.
Well, yeah, especially down in Little Rock.
Oh
There's,
boy, man, look here, boy. I'm talking about they big red down here.
Yeah.
There's a pretty popular old school radio DJ back in Birmingham, Alabama, named Chris Coleman. And he has his little podcast show that has a following. And he posted on Facebook. He's had enough conversations to know that a lot of black men don't want to see a woman in office. He says just point blank. He could talk about policies. He could talk about what's right for your pockets, what's right for your political views.
Yeah.
Even if it aligns with her, they're like, nah. That one factor, man, they can't get over.
I'm telling you, it's not even black men. It's men in general. They not having it. But let me ask you this: history shows we've always been Republican. Black people, even back in the slave days, coming in. When did that change?
So it's not that we've always been Republican. I got to pause you out on that real quick. It's not that we've always been Republicans because we didn't have a right to vote until the 60s, right? So we've in a manner of lifestyle, we have been conservative people. When it broadened out into the political atmosphere, and this happened a little bit. We were Republican at one point, and then you had the point in history where things have began the Reconstruction period, right? And during the Reconstruction period, a lot of things got shifted, a lot of things got turned, and as the party has progressed, what's happened is you've seen more of what used to be the Dixiecrats, older Democrats that have become the face of what the Republicans represent now, right? And so when I say that, those are the folks who the triple Ks, right? The hate groups movement that came with it, and so naturally, people are going to shift away from that. They're going to shift away from that, right? So if you have a David Duke who's supporting a party or a person, what would that say to a person that looks like us? Naturally, the surface is like, no, I can't support a person or a party that David Duke is supporting because he. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say you got to remember too about the Southern strategy, right?
Yeah.
So the Republicans, they were losing votes, white votes, to the Democratic Party back in the when we started to vote, they were losing votes. So the Republicans doubled down on the white folks, and the Southern strategy, they highlighted racism against us to win over the right wing white folks that have been diehard for them since like the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
And that's part of the David Duke movement, part of the Bull Connor movement down in Alabama and things like that. It
Yeah.
was a strategic move to get that segment of the population on their side.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, the thing that was sold and told to them, and I think it was Lyndon B. Johnson who said it about black people and white people, essentially, is feed them a certain thing, right? And this is paraphrasing. Feed them a
Mhm.
little bit. Make the poorest white man feel like he's better than black people,
Mhm.
and they'll
Mm.
rule forever, right? And what he did when he made that quick movement of division separated. Well, like, again, the country has always been a foundationally racist mental issue, right? And a case study at large. But when it was put in those frames in that specific fashion, that's when other folks, white folks, began to jump on a bandwagon to essentially feel better than uh, another segment of America. Unfortunately, right? People stopped looking at policy. People stopped looking at what was actually good for the progression of the country, and they simply began to look down the street. And that's when we began to get the terms and phrases of white flight and say, oh no, they're gonna drop our property values because they're moving into the neighborhoods,
Mhm.
right? When between 1963 and 1965, and I always make a point to distinguish between the two because 100 years before that, we were still coming out of the Civil War, 1863 to 1865, right? 1861, the Cornerstone Speech, the ending of the Civil War in 1865. And I have to make those distinctions because it is, unfortunately, a segue from one area to another in the spans of 100 years, right? We went from slavery to having the right to vote legally. And once that thing took hold in 1964, excuse me, and we began to get the right to vote, we began to get the actual personhood of citizenship, that's when things began to get flopped and switched on their head. So it goes back to looking at different movements of the Project 2025, of where they're pushing us back, hurling us back into. And it specifically mentioned the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in it last week as we were reading. It specifically stated that date and the things that were going on around it, talking about the education system. So the split and the division for the common person in America, for the political strata, has been so immensely egregious that the politicians have been able to do whatever they wanted to. That's why I am not a proponent of being loyal to a specific party. I
Nah.
can't be.
Mm.
I won't be
You
loyal.
got that right. You can't trust none of their answers. They all lie. We just
Absolutely.
vote for we just vote for whoever tells the best lie.
Yeah. So
It's true.
yeah, I think it's dangerous for American citizens to simply say, well, I'm going to be Republican and vote straight ticket Republican. I'm going to be a Democrat and vote straight ticket Democrat, because they're not looking at policies of people. There are a lot of things that the Democratic Party is pushing out that I personally and foundationally, because of my own beliefs, I don't agree with, and I can't get on board with. Right. And that's just me. And and very similarly so, the Republican Party. And that's the issue. People have stopped looking at policy and we've gotten caught up in the entertainment of it all. So politicians no longer have to work for our vote. They just got it. And now
Oh,
they're bought by a bunch of daggone corporations. That's where you get the
like,
lobby.
I'm gonna tell you this. You don't think this shit crazy? But when people swinging Trump's way, I'm just saying, black people that I've known, guess the first thing they brought up, man, Trump, the first president that I can say I personally benefited from when they got them stimulus checks.
That's
They
such a
forget.
I'm just keeping it real.
But people have such short memories, though, man. I don't
I
know where
know, but
these
what I'm
cats
saying
are.
is, but he did it when a lot of people were in need.
sure.
In COVID and shit. Like, understand what I'm saying? Like, regardless of who he is, he came through when people needed him.
Yeah, I agree with Deuce on that. People got such short memories because,
Oh,
again,
I know. I agree with him too, but I'm just letting you know, like, COVID came and this man started giving money.
yeah. And so my movement isn't to sway people one way or another. I just want to get
No.
information out there.
Mm.
That's what I really want to do. I'm not going to say, oh no, we need to be Democratic. We need to vote Democrat. We need to vote Republican. I'll never say that.
Mm.
Never say
Who was
that.
Who's our best candidate right now? I mean, if you just had to vote, I mean, I ain't gonna say actually vote. Like, who's right now? Who's best right now?
Well, like I said
It's
last week, go ahead, Deuce.
no. Well, I was gonna say for me, it's complicated. Now, James, you gave an elegant answer, man. You say you don't dislike Trump, and I respect that. Ooh, bro, he put a bad taste in my mouth, bro. He's like,
Sure.
but it's
What
complicated
I'm
for
saying
me.
is, I ain't got a reason to dislike him.
Yeah. And I feel you, and I respect people that don't. But just to take that bias out and answer your question objectively, it's tough. Here's what it is: economically, Trump's better.
Yeah.
Policy-wise, as far as civil, Harris is better.
Yeah.
But a lot of Americans are struggling paycheck to paycheck. And if you look just at the Black community, we struggle paycheck to paycheck. So I
Boy,
can see a lot of us looking at right now, like I see the policies, I see Project 2025. That might be bad in the long run, but look at the market. Every time an event happened that made the U.S. think that Trump was going to win the presidency, the market shot up, man. I listened to a podcast today while the market's dumping. Japan's raising
man,
interest rates, that's the
Goodness,
thing.
yeah,
And then
man,
Trump
hey,
doesn't appear to be winning
yeah,
anymore. So that's causing the market to dump too.
yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough. Economics or social policy.
and guess what? And most Americans are all about economics, like you said,
Yeah.
right? And that's what most people like. What jobs? It's economics. You're right, and that's what it is.
Yeah. But economics is such a short-sighted view of things,
I
right?
know it is, but that's the way we live life now. Like,
It
man,
can be. It can be, right? And we all have our different priorities on different things. So like I said last week, understanding what the long-term effect of total immunity for law enforcement, I understand what that means. That's why it swayed me, because I can't support, as far as my vote is concerned. Now, let me say this also: regardless of who sits in what chair, right, be it the presidency or the vice presidency, as a man that wears a uniform, I will absolutely support those positions because that's what I'm charged to do. I don't always agree with their policies, but I still support that chair, that position, not because of the person, but because that's what I'm charged to do, and I will discharge that duty without question and without fail. But to going back to what Deuce was saying, as when it comes to a civil policy, that civil policy will hurt us. It will hurt us more in the long run than anything else that's going on. It really will, because that we're talking about, again, going back to a movement of privatizing prisons. And the only way to keep that happening and functioning is by locking people up. And unfortunately, what that looks like, what we've seen from the 80s, even up to and through now, is we're the first ones to have to get bit by that dog, kind of trying to make a bit of a reference back to the water hoses and the dogs and the police and the riots, right?
Mhm.
Watts, all that other stuff. We're the first ones to get bit by the dogs. So I can't support that because I know history, I understand history, and I don't want to repeat it.
so with that being said, if Kamala wins, it's because they don't want Trump in office again, not because they want her.
I think
Probably. That's a hard
I'm
question.
just
that's a
saying. I
tough
mean,
one, man.
no.
That's-
I'm just saying, like everybody who's won being the president these last couple years, a few years ago, is because they didn't want the other person in. Bottom line,
I can agree to that.
Trump got in because Hillary was not going to be president. Biden's in because they were sick of Trump.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that we wanted them in. We just didn't know. We didn't want the other. We wanted the other one out. These are our best candidates, fellas.
Now, I disagree with that statement.
No,
These are our only candidates.
not best candidates. These are our candidates.
Yes.
Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry. I did not mean to use best. I'm sorry. This is what we got.
So
And at first and then again we had Biden and Trump. Like that's what the fuck we got.
yeah, that was tough to see them on that stage like that. I'll be honest about it, but
Then I got a fake assassination. Pat, I told y'all this other day. I ain't never seen a motherfucker get shot and nobody ran.
I So the jury's still out on that.
Everybody just stopped and got down real low and
That's
pulled
funny.
their phones out. Where the fuck they do that?
I never use that term, but I use it on purpose. But so there are things that are being looked at and investigated as far as that is concerned. The attempted assassination, and I hope for the sake of former President Trump that it doesn't come out that it was something staged.
It's not going to hurt him if it did come out.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
And
I don't know. What I'm saying is this man got shot at and nobody moved. Everybody got down low and pulled their phones out.
Group shock.
Take Secret Service another minute to get near him. I'm just
that's gonna be one of those moments in history, man. You're right,
bro. I'm sorry. I'm like, we look at shit different. There's a crowd of people at a rally, and someone starts shooting, and no one runs. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we'll see what happens with that. Again, hopefully it wasn't something that was staged and fake and tampered with, any of that nature, because. If he went through
man, I know, Pat. I know you're right about it. What I'm saying, then he hits the ground and comes up with a cut ear. Get the fuck out of here!
My boy had that tampon in his ear.
Come on, man.
Going back to
come on, man.
You said a lot of us, some of us align with Trump because he issued out money when we needed it, right? I just did a quick fact check. Biden versus Trump, because I know Biden gave our stimulus checks too.
Yep.
Trump gave us $1,800 per individual total, a $1,200 and a $600. Biden gave us
I got 4 checks.
Biden gave us a $1,400.
Don't say that on here no more, man. I don't want them coming after you, cuzzo.
No, I filed my taxes. I ain't like, no, I'm good. No, what I'm saying is, but like you said, oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not counting the ones we got for kids. I'm just counting just the individual ones. There are the ones for kids. You're right.
No. I mean, for me.
You got more than 3?
I think I have 4, 3 or 4.
Check and make sure that some of that wasn't state.
Yeah, that could be state.
Yeah.
I do. Now I know they gave a lot of food stamps to every damn body. I don't think that was Trump or whoever, but like, man, during COVID, I know families, they got $300 worth of stamps per child for like 6 months straight.
Yeah.
Just for the hell of it.
Unemployment checks and the PPP loans. But I mean, just to the point, just the checks on here, because I know people got more, but Trump per individual, $1,800, and Biden, $1,400. And Biden's presidency was after Trump's, but people remember Trump giving the check and forget.
Yeah.
Forget Biden, we forget George Bush,
that's a good point. That's a because until you said, I had forgotten about former President Bush. I forgot
the first check I got from a president. I was happy. I'm like, whoa, a president sending me money?
Wait, what is that? When did that happen?
Bush Jr.
Was that before Obama?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, check.
No, I believe him. It's like shit. I don't. Well, I really started paying attention to politics, to be honest, until Obama got in office.
Okay.
I pay attention to that check in my mailbox.
Yeah. I've never given a fuck about politics until Obama got in office, and then since that day, I paid attention up until right now. I've never cared about politics.
And so what changed it for you to when
I knew she was about to get real when we got a black president.
Oh. Okay. And even on that note,
you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but former president, during former President Trump's presidency, hate crimes drastically increased.
Oh, man, this country is so fucking divided. Boy, the motherfuckers at my work, boy. I mean, they dicks was hard. You hear me?
And I don't know why. Well, I know why.
I have no idea. I had to tell one dude, I say, man, don't let Trump get your ass whooped. You know what I mean? So you got to remind them, motherfucker, like Trump running for Trump ain't gonna take this ass whooping for you. Pump
see,
your motherfucking brakes.
but that's the point where I'm at, right? But like I want everybody to promote what they believe in. I think it, and it's a right for everybody to promote what they believe in until it comes to the point of hurting or infringing on other people, right? The LGBTQIA community has every right to feel the way they want to feel until they begin to push the narrative on other Americans and make them buy it. Christians have every right to worship and say that they believe in Jesus Christ as much as they want to until they begin to push in a harmful manner their beliefs on other people. Uh, Politics. Every American has every right to believe in any type of politician that they want to until it gets to the point of hurting other Americans. That's the dangerous part of every aspect and every spectrum of belief, especially when you insert the movement of subjectivity into those isms, as it were, and the subjectivity of that ism removes all objectivity, and your intellect is decreased, and you begin to act on fear and anger. That's what I. That's what I want. I can't agree with that.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, some white people that I thought was cool when Trump was running, I got to see their true fucking colors.
That's groupthink, unfortunately.
No, I'm talking about they started saying shit that they've been wanting to say, like Trump was gonna like cover for their ass when that ass whooping came. You know what I mean? Like white people show the fuck out with Trump. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, and I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is that's how groupthink works. That's how groupthink get caught up in groupthink, and then instead of there being a movement of objectivity, there's nothing more than overemphasized emotion. That's all it becomes. That's why you have to always have a devil's advocate in a situation when there's groups of people that are thinking the same. You have to. It's a must. So
I can't believe I get you let me talk politics today. Fucking cannot believe it. I can't fucking believe it.
Yeah, I mean it's good. We got to get.
No, I know it's okay because I'm gonna see you in a couple weeks at the reunion, and we're gonna be live on there. They had a right one on the show. We can have some more fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. But let's
shit, right.
We getting ready to get into this reading. You can hang out up here while I read it. That way you can give your opinions on it too.
I'm gonna look at it anyway. I got something to pull up, but I'm gonna have you on though.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not gonna let you down. We still first cousins. I'm not gonna fucking let you down, nigga. I'm just letting you know what's up. She's over here. Listen, we gonna be. Will you?
I'm with it. I'm with it.
I know.
Let me get into this reading. Let me give the people what they've been waiting for, so we can push forward into this. And you ready for it?
Hey, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
All right, let me get the screen right.
What we stop off at last time?
We were talking about education and education reform. And that's where we're picking up the needed reforms. The needed reforms.
What section was that? Education.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me scroll up to
that section 3. I see Department of Education section 3, 319. Stop overreach. 4th grade. Remember that.
So let me go up to the table of contents. I don't want to forget what page I'm on. I'm on page 323.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
We'll pass. Oh my gosh, that happened pretty easily. Get back up to it. Oh, goodness. All right, there we go. 323. I remember this chart, seeing this chart. And what I got to do is I got to make a note to go back and look up these references that they're giving out, because some just don't feel right about some of the stuff that they're saying. The
Hey, I'm
figures.
with you on that. We can
Yeah.
hey, let's tag team it, man. We can split that joker up.
All right.
You take half, I take half, and we can collab next week with the what we found.
Yeah.
Good old homework assignment.
Absolutely.
All right, he
All
said
right. So
take
here we
those to school.
go. Here we go. Needed reforms. Again, this is talking about the education system, and I'm reading from Project 2025, which is subtitled "The Conservative View." So, needed reforms. Federal intervention in education has failed to promote student achievement. After trillions. Oh, give me 1 second. They're saying that you think I got it. That should help it out. So they were able to hear you in TikTok. You had an echo, but I think I fixed it. That was on my end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had my Bluetooth to my you know what? I don't want to impair that. Let me cancel that. I want to keep it on, but I don't want to have it echo. I got it. I think I got it fixed. Yep. Yep. Got it fixed. All right. So, federal intervention in education has failed to promote student achievement. After trillions spent since 1965 on the collective programs now housed within the walls of the department, student academic outcomes remain stagnant. On the main National Assessment of Education Progress, NAEP, reading outcomes on the 2022 administration have remained unchanged over the past 30 years. Declines in math performance are even more concerning than students' lack of progress on reading outcomes. Fourth and eighth grade math scores saw the largest decline since the assessments were first administered in 1990. Average fourth grade math scores declined 5 points, and average eighth grade math scores declined 8 points. Just one third of eighth graders nationally are proficient in reading and math. Just 27% of eighth graders were proficient in math in 2022, and just 31% of eighth graders scored proficient in reading in 2022. And I think we tied this back to the No Child Left Behind thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So students are getting less time to actually figure out the academic aspects of where they should be and how they're supposed to be taught. Right.
Mhm.
So continuing on, the NAEP long-term trend assessment shows academic stagnation since the 1970s, with particular stagnation in the reading scores of 13-year-old students since 1971, when the assessment was first administered. Math scores, though modestly improved, are still lackluster. Additionally, the department has created a shadow department of education operating in states across the country. Federal mandates, programs, and proclamations have spurred a hiring spree among state education agencies, with more than 48,000 employees currently on staff in state agencies across the country. Those employees are more than 10 times the number of employees, which is 4,400. Whoa, to the power. Oh, that must be the footnote of 10. At the Federal Department of Education, and their jobs largely entail reporting back to Washington. Research conducted by that's the part that I didn't like.
Mhm.
Research conducted by the Heritage Foundation's Jonathan Butcher finds that the federal government funds 41% of the salary cost of state education agencies. So that's got that footnote. I'm going to make a mental note to go back and look at that footnote. And so this chart, it trends in fourth and eighth grade reading, and it's just simply backing up what was said in that paragraph. And the part that I do agree with is that we do have an issue in America with our education system,
Oh
and
yeah.
the how our students are learning, how our kids are learning. It's it's tragic.
Mm.
Fortunately, what grade is your son in?
He just finished high school.
Okay,
Yeah. So he just wrapped up.
so what's he going to do now?
So now it's a pause X. The goal is to get him to college next August.
Okay,
Um, keep him in shape. Have him try out different job industries. Ask some of the reservists that work what they do. My son could go to them, check out the work, things that matter.
yeah,
Teach them this whole thing, man. It's gonna be life skills 101, man. How to take care of yourself, cook,
yep,
clean, being self-reliant, things of that nature.
good. Yeah, I think that's needed and it's important. So
Hmm.
he's going to take a year out.
Yeah, take a year out with me, a guided year. I'm gonna keep him, probably put him in community college just to keep the academic mind fresh. Because once you step out, man, Now,
Yeah.
1 year could turn into 5 real quick.
Hey, I was in college back in 2000. I want to say 2001. No, 2000. I was in college back in 2000. 9/11 happened, and I haven't finished my degree.
Oh,
You know,
man.
yeah.
Wow.
So
That's hey,
once,
I want to highlight this point though.
yeah,
This goes to show because our generation, college was like the way to get forward, bro.
it
Like
was.
you went to college, you were that dude, right? You were smart. Everything bright and shiny was attached to that piece of paper called a college degree.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
And I'm gonna say this, man. I'm not even trying to juice you up, bro, but like you one of the smartest cats I know. And you huh?
Not at all. Come on, man.
Yeah, believe it, I don't say nice stuff at all. You know, I was born a hater. You know this. Everyone that knows me knows I love to hate. It's like it's my power. I'm a hater. But real recognize real, man. You're one of the most intellectual cats I know. And the fact that you haven't finished college yet, that's counter for our generation. Now, this
It
new
is.
generation, they're more about certifications, they're more about life and learning, which I have a debate on that's another topic. But just to prove the point, man, everything you don't need that degree to prove your intellectual ability,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So
yeah. I agree with that.
but you'll be reading your ass off. I need to say it that way. So that's also a testament to intellect. I think that's something that's missed, what we're talking about now.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Every there's learning opportunities all around us. Always have been and always will
Yeah,
be. Uh,
thanks.
so and that may and another segment we'll talk about how I feel about college because I think we might have talked about it once before.
Mhm.
But we'll brainstorm another segment on that to dig into that. Let me continue reading.
Go ahead.
All right, so this bloat has persisted for decades. In 1998, a commission led by Representative Pete Hoekstra released a critical report based on extensive fieldwork, interviews, and analysis of the Department of Education. The report, Education at a Crossroads, which now I got to go find and read, what works and what's wasted in education today, detailed the suffocating bureaucratic red tape Carter's agency had wrapped around states. The commission estimated that the states completed nearly 50 million hours of paperwork just to get their federal education spending, which at that time they estimated resulted in just 65, lost my place, I was looking at a comment, 65 cents to 70 cents of each federal taxpayer dollar making its way to the classroom. That's crazy. The situation has only worsened since the Hoekstra report. More recent evidence of Washington's bureaucratic paperwork burden can be found in the growing number of non-teaching staff in public schools across the country, which doubled relative to the growth in student enrollment from 1992 to 2015.
And just
Go ahead.
I'm saying just to highlight, because I have a couple of people in public school education. So you're talking about like your bookkeepers, your
Yeah.
secretaries, maybe janitorial work,
Right.
security.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to highlight what those roles may or may not be.
Right. And some of those roles are still very detrimental. Even your lunch people, right? The
Mm,
folks that are serving your kids food, because that's what they're also considering in this piece as well. So those salaries have to be paid. Well, they're not even salaried workers; they're hourly workers, generally speaking.
but it's
But
coming from a budget. Yeah.
exactly. Not to mention the price increase or the wage increase during the summer months for people who choose to be at an educational facility during the summer and give up
Mhm.
those 3 months of not working or finding another job. So
Mhm.
I think that's why I think that could be a little bit misleading to say
Facts.
that, yeah, that body of people isn't needed, because I think it absolutely is.
And we don't know, that could include bus drivers,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So
So it's worth us digging into. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna find that article. I want to read it so I can see exactly who they're talking about, because as we both know, the support staff for an infantry soldier is double, right?
yes.
At the very least, double to triple. For one
Yeah.
infantry person, you've got to have a pay, you've got to have a supply, you've got to have a cook, you've got to have so many different elements of support just for the actual physical warfighter. So the same
Mhm.
thing when it comes to our students. right? So for one student, you have to have a teacher or you have to have a bus driver, you have to have a cook, you have to have a line server, you have to have a janitorial services, you've got to have maintenance folks that's on staff. So
Mm-hmm.
that could be a bit of a misleading statement if you read it on the surface. It's easy to digest and believe in, but when you just like we just did, common sense, break it down a little bit and understanding how these things actually get parceled out, it's misleading to say the least.
And you got to flush that stuff out, man, because they try to throw it at you in lumps. You got to iron that thing
Yeah,
out. You're right.
absolutely,
See what's there.
absolutely. So the labyrinthian nature of the federal education programs, convoluted funding formulas, competitive grant applications, reporting requirements, etc., has likely contributed to the considerable bureaucratic bloat in state and local school districts across the country and is one of the key areas of needed reform. Streamlining existing programs and funding so that dollars are sent to states. Golly, man. So I agree that dollars should be sent to states, but there has to be federal mandate placed on those dollars. Again, if we simply take a stop and pause and look at the federal dollars sent to states like Mississippi, that is a dangerous area to simply try and cut off and trust the states to do the right thing. I think it's dangerous. So, all right, I didn't mean it. It just every time they mention just giving it back to the states, it's a little bit of a red flag to me.
Yeah, no, big time, big time.
Right? It was states' rights was the issue, so that's why it's a red flag to me. But grants that states can put toward any lawful education. God dang it! And then they followed up with lawful. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So, any lawful education purpose under state law would bring a needed easing of the federal compliance burden. The federal government should confine its involvement in education to that of a statistics gathering agency that disseminates information to the states. I don't think, golly. To improve educational opportunities for all Americans, the next administration should work with Congress to pass a Department of Education Reorganization Act to reform, eliminate, or remove the department's programs and offices to appropriate agencies. The following is an overview of what should happen within each of the offices and to each of the programs currently operated by the department. All right, program and office prioritization within the department. Office of Elementary and Secondary Education, OESC. The OESC is comprised of 36 programs ranging from Title I, Part A of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act and Impact A to programs for Native American students and the DC Opportunity Scholarship programs. Here we go. Reduce the number of programs managed by OESE and transfer some remaining programs to other federal agencies. Who are those some remaining agencies? Who are those other federal agencies?
Exactly.
Right. Because if it's not, they need to make sure. Because I don't disagree totally with the reduction of force, but it has to be recycled in an efficient, meaningful manner that is going to actually produce the outcome that the American people need and want. It has to.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, don't just take those funds and lift and shift them to cousins, brothers, and relatives. Don't shift those funds to cousins, brothers, and relatives and remove them from the education system altogether. Right? That's a sleight of hand type of thing.
It's gonna be who you know. It's gonna be who you know.
Yeah, that's rough. Transfer Title I, Part A, which provides federal funding for low. Golly, why would they target this? But okay. All right, let me.
You already know.
Transfer Title Part A, which provides federal funding for lower income school districts to the Department of Health and Human Services. I don't trust it. Specifically, the Administration for Children and Families. I definitely don't trust it. Absolutely don't trust that, since I understand the flaws within the foster system. I understand.
Let's not even talk about. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got it.
When you said the foster system, man, let's not even begin to just articulate how easy it is for the federal government to come into your house, say that you're
CPS.
inadequate, and take your kids from you with little to no
Absolutely.
evidence, mind you, and place
Yeah.
them in a far worse situation. And then if the
Yep.
kids are older, we're talking about kids, school age kids, middle on up. People don't want those kids. They view them as tainted, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are they gonna end up at? Those foster homes you're talking about. And it's just it's a cycle, man, because now we're feeding that. These kids gonna be abused, taken advantage of, spit out to society as inadequate adults.
Yeah.
And they're gonna do what they do best, man. Spurn what they feel. It's not gonna
Yeah.
be a benefit to society, right? Some will. Chances are our odds are against them. We can say that much.
The odds are very much so against
Yeah.
them. There's a couple, I can't remember exactly which state it was in, but there was a couple that adopted children, and they had their own. This is recent
Yeah.
news.
Okay.
And the black kids that they had fostered or adopted, they put them out to work. They were they slaved them out. They enslaved those kids. Those kids were living in a barn. They treated those kids like animals. And the fear is, especially moving back into the Department of Health and Human Services, man, we still got there's a sister that was wrongfully dissected decades ago.
Mm.
The immortal sister that the Department of Health is still using her cells on to figure out diseases. It becomes dangerous to simply give over this is not the will of the people.
No.
This is not the will of the people as far as what I'm seeing and what I'm reading. And so let me continue because I just looked at a phrase that's even scarier. So I'll read this whole paragraph in its entirety. Transfer Title I Part A, which provides federal funding for lower income school districts, to the Department of Health and Human Services, specifically the Administration for Children and Families. It should be administered as a no strings attached formula block grant. That's a scary statement. That where are the checks and balances in that? Golly. Restore revenue responsibility for Title I funding to the states over a 10-year period. OESC also currently manages the federal impact aid program, which provides funding to school districts to compensate for reductions in property tax revenue due to the presence of federal property, such as that associated with a military base or tribal lands.
Mm-hmm.
Eliminate impact aid not tied to students.
I want to pause right there.
Let's do
I
it.
want to ask you, all right, question, man. Impact aid not tied to students. Just think about general aid that schools have that fall outside of their operating budget.
Okay.
That does not go to teachers. What do you think this aid is? What do you think they're talking about? Like some of the programs.
Oh, they're talking about lunches.
Lunches. We're talking about what else you think?
School materials for reading, course materials, the actual education programs.
Yep.
They're talking about goodness gracious. It's on the tip of my tongue. Even when the arts programs.
All
so
those going to the wayside. Yeah.
Yeah. So that we're already seeing a reduction in that type of stuff. So that's what I'm thinking.
You're right. Not to mention after school care.
Latchkey kids.
And unfortunately, for worse and for worse, we're a culture of single family households, man. And a lot of them single parents, a lot of moms have to hold down multiple jobs.
Mm-hmm.
After school care is a lifesaver.
Yeah.
So, but it's not tied to teaching. And they didn't say eliminate some, a few. There's nothing to shrink that eliminate statement.
Yeah.
Eliminate impact aid not tied. Come on, bro.
There's no quantitative data.
Nah.
So it can be moved or manipulated or interpreted any way they have it or they want it.
They can change the definition any way they so please. they can say curriculum development isn't tied to students, it's tied to teachers, but they gotta understand that curriculum, man. I came from a military schoolhouse. We had workshops, we had to dig into the lesson plans. So we
Yeah.
had a collective understanding about what we're teaching so that how we would deliver the information
Right.
wouldn't vary too much from instructor to instructor. That's
Right.
important.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As I'm digging into this instructor role that I'm in, I
Mhm.
couldn't agree more. Like, give me 1 second. TikTok trying to notify me that I've been on for an hour. I appreciate it, TikTok. I'm gonna keep it going though. Um, but yeah, like having like my team is so dope. They really are. And they're made up of like these guys are absolutely amazing instructors, amazing instructors. From my supervisor, uh, my battle, one of my other coworkers,
Mhm.
and my civilian. They are phenomenal instructors, and we take a lot of time to develop the curriculum, and we ask each other the hard questions to make sure every student learner in our classroom understands what we're instructing, and that takes a lot. So if we're digging our heels in at this level, I can only imagine what teachers have to go through, and they're
Mhm.
teaching the whole curriculum, depending on the grade they're teaching by themselves.
Right.
So yeah, that's man,
Yeah.
it's, it's tough. So eliminate impact aid not tied to students. Golly, yeah, you're 100%. You spot on with that. Move student driven impact aid programs to the Department of Defense.
Huh? Wait. Huh? Well, I'm sorry. Let me not jump on it too. Let me read the whole
Yeah,
thing to you.
let me finish reading. Let me finish reading it. All right. It was hard for me to even finish that. Uh, but move student driven impact aid programs to the Department of Defense Education Authority or the Department of Interior's Bureau of Indian Education. Um,
One, I
I'm a,
never heard of that department before a day in my life. The first one.
Department
Uh,
Defense Education Authority, Department of
yeah.
Defense. Yeah, Education Authority. Why would you tie any education dealing with children to the Department of Defense? Why
So
would you do?
okay, he said move student driven impact aid programs, and I looked it up. So just for clarity for me, and I'm from Alabama, I need to break things down, Forrest Gump style, right? Um, so that department, civilian agency that operates schools for children of military members and Department of Defense civilian employees. I just wanted to make sure it is what I thought it was. It's DoD schools.
Yeah,
I,
I think our schools are doing fine. I, okay, I'm gonna keep pushing. Transfer all Indian education programs to the Bureau of Indian Education. Now that I'm not familiar with at all. Um,
I get that for their people, and that to me makes sense. If you're given an allotment of money that's to them to give to Native Americans, I can see that as long as it's proportionate.
and that's yeah, the proportionate part. That's the part
Hmm.
for me.
Hmm.
Um, Give me 1 second to check something real quick. Okay. The DC Opportunity Scholarship Program, which provides vouchers to low-income children living in the nation's capital, appropriate as DC is under the jurisdiction of Congress. Okay. Yeah. Should be expanded into a universal program, formula funded, and moved to the Department of Health and Human Research Services. Why?
Why are you getting rid of the Department of Education just to move everything the Department of Education does to this myriad like conglomerate of other departments?
That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me, and I'll maybe it's because of my ignorance that I need to go back and look at some of this stuff and make sure I have the right concept of what they're talking about. But that it's not making sense to me. That math ain't mathing.
I mean, if we just go off of just the baseline, we know they want to eradicate Department of Education.
Yeah.
All of the functions under that, they're sending it out to other agencies that have nothing to do with the Department of Education,
Right.
haven't operated in that arena. I I don't know about you, bro, but you throw me in an MMA ring against an MMA fighter, I'm gonna get sliced and diced because I have no knowledge of MMA.
Absolutely.
So don't ask me to become an MMA fighter overnight, and that's what they're doing here.
So I don't, to this comment, Maya, is it to benefit the draft in the future? No, it's not to benefit the draft. What it does is it so right now, one of the reasons, in my opinion, the military, our military, is as awesome as it is because it's an all volunteer force.
Mhm.
Primarily, right? You do have a few cases sprinkled in where judges have given people opportunities, as it were, to either serve your sentence in jail or serve your sentence in the military, and then we'll commute some of that sentence. But the draft is never going away. It's still a thing. That's why all men 18 and over are supposed to register for it. So if it's needed, it can always be implemented. Now, oddly enough, women don't have to do that, but that's another story for another time, another topic for another time, especially when it comes to equality and equity. But I don't think it's to benefit the draft. I don't think it's to die. I can understand why you would say that, but to benefit, I'm not sure 100%. 100%. I have to think about that and formulate my flow as to what I'm actually trying to articulate. But I do think that it is a bit of a movement to force, as it were, certain segments of the population into military service. I wouldn't put that past this at all, but I'll have to think about that. I'll have to think about that. Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education. Now, I know you were looking something up, Deuce. If you find it, let me know, and I'll pause and place again.
No,
Right.
you good. You good.
Okay. Transfer the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education's few programs to the Department of Jesus Christ, to the Department of Labor, but move the tribally controlled post-secondary career and technical education program to the Bureau of Indian Education. Again, I don't really have too much pushback because I don't know much about it. I'm really ignorant about the Bureau of Indian Education. However, uh, the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, why is that automatically shifted to the Department of Labor? Why is that the automatic shift?
That is a good question. 'Cause
Right.
I mean, I'm ignorant too. I don't know of any educational programs the Department of Labor has, right? I had to look into that and see
And so
why they picked that.
So I know apprenticeships are very real around the country, right? And we have some really, really great experienced craftsmen. But just because you attend a technical college or because you end up getting doggone it, not a diploma, but uh, instead of a high school diploma, what's the other one? GED.
GED.
Yeah, I don't think that should be an automatic qualifier to be under the Department of Labor because uh, there are many people in our society who have gone through because sometimes our education system isn't the path for some people, and so getting a GED was their best opportunity, and they've been able to go forth and do great things and become business owners and entrepreneurs, so on and so forth. So, and maybe because I'm simply stuck on the part of labor that I can't move away from. Uh, but not everybody is supposed to go into the labor field. Not everyone is supposed to be a worker. Some people are supposed to be entrepreneurs. Some people are supposed to be business owners. And just because you come from a certain segment of American society does not mean that you should not be afforded those same opportunities. It doesn't mean that you should be funneled down to these, but it's kind of like the Hunger Games. It's kind of like the Hunger Games. As I talk about it and I hear myself talking about it, we're going to make you a divergent. We're going to make you this. We're going to make you that. This is what you
Yeah.
have to be now.
Yeah.
We're going to split society up in these certain sectors, and this is where you need to stay. It doesn't feel right,
No, it
but
doesn't.
it's self-fulfilling. So I got quiet because I was reading the comment which says, but more people of color have started businesses than ever before. So is it to halt that? That's that.
You know, that's something you got to dive into.
Yeah,
I will venture to say that comment is correct on the surface level, but then my question would be why? Is it because out of passion, or was it because out of necessity? Because more people than ever are working multiple jobs just to make ends meet.
that's true.
So I like that comment, but my question would be why?
That's
You
true.
know, because I'm out here, I have a couple of side businesses. I would prefer just to have just the day job, honestly. That's how I got out and did something else. But because of necessity, I have to do different things. So I just wonder why. That's a good comment.
Very good. I agree. Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services. The Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services houses nearly 24 programs ranging from funding for the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and the National Technical Institute for the Deaf to Special Olympics funding and the American Printing House for the Blind. They need to leave those folks alone. They need to leave these citizens alone. But let me continue. Most IDEA funding should be converted into a no strings formula block granted targeted at students with disabilities and distributed directly to local education agencies by Health and Human Services Administration for Community Living. Why are they essentially making camps for people? That's what it sounds like they're doing. They're funneling monies to place folks in camps.
It's a good question.
It's a divisive movement. It's a redlining. Redlining forced Black Americans into certain areas. The whole
It's
development of projects, which is exactly what they were experiments because they were all case studies.
mhm.
They funneled federal funds into states to go into certain housing projects. And that's what it sounds like is happening again. Yeah. And there are more people leaving the country and working and living. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It's the whole Spartan idea. If you're not born as a perfect baby, we're going to throw you off this cliff.
hmm
We're going to create a quote unquote community for you. It might be fenced in, but that's for your protection. That's the undertone. We'll fence it in this community, but that's for your protection,
hmm
which is devious at
Scary.
best. Yeah. Golly. Transfer the vocational rehabilitation grants for Native American students to the Bureau of Indian Education. Again, I'm going to look further into the Bureau of Indian
Yeah.
Education.
Same.
Yeah, phase out earmarks for a variety of special institutions as originally envisioned, to the extent that OSCRS supports federal efforts to enforce our laws against discrimination of individuals with disabilities. Those assets should be moved to the Department of Justice along with the Office for Civil Rights. Wow. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm picking up what they're putting down now. I'm picking up at what they're putting again. This is in consortium with um total immunity, right?
Yeah.
So you dissect these areas, and you fund them and funnel people to a specific area, and you give oversight to certain entities like the Department of Justice, because that's the best thing to do. Or put it alongside the Office of Civil Rights, which is still working in consortium with the Department of Justice,
Yeah.
because they got to make their money one way or another.
They got to.
Wow. Office for Post-Secondary Education. The next administration should work with Congress to eliminate or move OPE programs to ETA at the Department of Labor.
On
Funding
that
to
one.
say again?
On that one, because that's a quick one. A lot of people don't know what OPE is, right? That's Office of Post Secondary Education, right?
Right.
So I looked it up because I was curious. What is that? Because they just throw it in there. It's so easy. right?
Yeah.
Breeze right past it. Like, it doesn't seem like it hurts. So I had to look that joker up, man. So OPE, post-secondary education, federal Pell Grant. Because let's look at the statement. Administration should work with Congress to eliminate. The first option is to eliminate, and the things that they can eliminate, they'll move to Department of Labor. Programs under that: federal Pell Grant, federal Work Study Program, Perkins Loan Program,
Wow.
Upward Bound, Talent Search,
Wow.
Education Opportunity Centers.
Wow.
So yeah, and Title III programs that fund historically black colleges, tribal universities. And then you have, you remember the 4 Bright Scholarships?
Wow.
What else we got in here that stands out to me? Teacher Quality Partnership. I'm not familiar with that one. Oh, Foreign Language Area Study Fellowships. I was in high school with some students that got to go to Spain, Mexico, France, because they scored high in their second language. I was able to go over there for fellowships, right? Or in college. And look at the statement: eliminate.
Eliminate.
That's the first option. A lot of these other things say move to. This one says eliminate.
Eliminate.
Or
Or move it to the Department of Labor once again.
yeah.
Creating a workforce instead of creating a civilization or a society
Educated people.
Of educated people. Of educated people. Wow. Funding to institutions should be block granted and narrowed to. Okay. Funding of institutions should be block granted and narrowed to historically black colleges and universities and tribally controlled colleges. Now that part, so PWIs also qualify for monies that are granted for HBCUs. So when it comes to one of the things that the Trump administration says is that they've given $500 million, I believe it was, to HBCUs. When in actuality, actual HBCUs only received, I think it's like $8 million of that money, because the rest was given to PWCs because they had programs that qualified for that. So the monies that were supposed to be set aside didn't actually go to the HBCUs. It went to PWIs that had a segment of black or students of color primarily, and only $8 million of that actually went to HBCUs. And then tribally controlled colleges. I don't know how much monies tribally controlled colleges actually get. That's another thing I need to look into.
I can't name one, bro. If you offer me $10 million, name one tribally controlled college, I'm gonna lose $10 million.
And I ain't got $10 million to lose. Move programs deemed important to our national security interests to the Department of State. No.
I like how I just left that vague, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what programs those are, but we're talking about education. Let's keep in mind the topic: education. What programs are these? We don't know.
Well, so let's take the cyber realm, because I remember at one point you were thinking about getting into the cyber MOS.
They denied that reclass packet with the quickness.
Did they?
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
wow.
They denied it. Yeah, man. Well, CA didn't want to let me go. CA denied me, not cyber.
Oh, shame on them. Shame on them.
Who you telling? Hurting your boy pockets, man.
Wow. But so let's take the cyber reclass school.
Yeah.
Why would you want to transfer that to the Department of State? Right. And again, it comes down to, are these states going to do the right thing? And unfortunately, historically, there are a lot of states that still will not do the right thing, even if given the opportunity.
Well, I think you got to reread that one. It said Department of State, not to the states.
Gotcha. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, so I'll have to rethink that for sure.
But no, even still, let's think about one of the things that made America great, World War II, and our ability to our industry, man. The strength of our industry was made America great, right?
Sure.
Europe's up in flames, Hitler marching around like a supercharged Vegeta, right? We came through like Goku. Only way we're able to do that was because of our industry.
Sure.
Industry that was not controlled by the government. So this is a small sample. Let's go with your thought on cyber. Put it under, like, say, Department of State. That's gonna stifle it, man.
It
Like
will.
the the great safeguards of cyber, as far as anti-hacking and things like that, none of them came from U.S. government.
Agreed.
That's why other
Agreed.
countries lean to us, because of the Magnificent Seven, your Amazons, your
Right.
Apples, your
Right.
Googles, your
Right.
Microsofts, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. All right.
So
I'm with you on that. All right. Institute of Education Sciences. I don't even like how that's starting off. Okay. Move ED's statistical office, the National Commission for Education Statistics, NCES, to the Department of to the Department of Commerce's Census Bureau. I don't know how that would make sense. Again, that could just simply be because of my ignorance. If Congress believes the federal government can play a valuable research role, those research centers can be moved to the National Science Foundation. If Congress decides to maintain IES as an independent agency, it needs to address major governance and management issues that keep it from being a productive contributor to the knowledge base related to teaching and learning.
I will say, I was listening to a podcast that was talking about the great teacher escape, or the great teacher void, right?
Uh huh.
And that guy, he was in education, and I would have to fact check him, but he said that the Department of Education does a terrible job of keeping national stats. Like, even the stat that they were talking about for fourth and eighth grade readers, that wasn't
Yeah.
from the Department of Education. That was from another agency. Maybe it's a
Right.
nonprofit. I'm not sure. But he did mention that the Department of Education does a terrible job of keeping stats of the US's, like, personnel and all those
Yeah.
intricacies within the education realm. So
Yeah.
that, I can see that. I've heard
And
that
they do.
before from a different source.
And I don't disagree with that. And so what I would recommend is actually tightening those up. If there is a lot of bureaucratic mumbo jumbo that
Mhm.
gets in the way of keeping proper records, right? Of keeping documented stats, and being able to put that out with confidence, well, then that program does need a revision. It needs a
Mhm.
relook. It needs an overhaul so that it can actually produce what its mission statement says, instead of simply keeping it going because people are getting their pockets fat off of it. Right.
Mhm.
I'm not moving into such a movement of regression of finances to where I'm just trying to buy all into a socialist aspect of things. That's
Mhm.
not what I'm saying. But when it comes to federal funding, federal monies, then yes, there should be a bit of a socialistic move towards all of these different programs, right?
Mhm.
Because when one program receives too much funding, that's when you get more bureaucrats that jump into it to figure out how to do nothing more or less than make more money. And then we get the corporate greed, and then we get the lobbyists that begin to once again control our politicians. So if things are evenly distributed from that federal system, and we get friends, cousins, and brothers and relatives out of that system, all the nepotism, all the cronyism that's
Mhm.
in that system, if we can remove that and again make these systems actually produce what their mission statement says, I think we'll be in a better position.
Facts.
Unfortunately, a lot of these different programs, and it goes without saying, a lot of these different programs support different parties. And these different parties continue to play to that crowd. They
Yeah.
play to that crowd, and the programs that need actual assistance and that are actually trying to produce something, they get overlooked because they don't have the constituency to show that they're important enough. So that's that's just how I see it. I could be off, But
Nah, man, you're right. It's all about follow the money.
follow the money.
Yeah.
Follow the money. With a statutory charge that it preserved the federal student loan portfolio for the benefit of the taxpayers and students, this new entity would be one, professionally governed by an agency head and board of trustees appointed by the president. And that's all. Is that it? Is that a completed
Wait, did
statement?
you read the
Okay. All right.
FSA part?
All right. It's it continues. It's just got chopped up by the different graphs.
Okay.
Okay. So trustees appointed by the president with the advice and consent of the Senate. That'll never happen. They can't agree on nothing. Two,
Nah.
funded with annual appropriations from Congress, and three, operated by professional managers.
Is
Yes
this talking
and
about
no.
moving student loans back to the banks?
That's what they're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Federal loans would be assigned directly to the Treasury Department, which would manage collections and defaults. The new Federal Student Loan Authority would manage the loan portfolio, handle borrower relations, administer loan applications and disbursements, monitor institutional participation and accountability issues, and issue regulations. I'm trying to read through the lines on this, and again, it's a little bit of a scary situation. I don't feel comfortable with that, especially with things just being given over directly to the Treasury Department. My lady and I were talking about this the other day. You can file bankruptcy on everything except for student loans.
Well, I wonder if that's because the federal government owns those student loans.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
part of it.
Mhm.
And so they won't let you out of your debt. But if you consider the CRAs that we've been through within the last 5 years,
Mhm.
if you consider the debt ceiling that's been continuously raised, I
Mhm.
think that this is the least of their issues.
Facts.
That's just
And
being honest.
I do want
We're
to point
getting
out something.
taxed on every red cent. Go ahead, my bad.
Dude, I wanted to say something too, right? So right now, the Fed rate right now is between 5.25 and 5.5, right? That's what America, the government, charges banks and other private institutions to loan money from them. The banks turn around and add their VIG on it,
Mhm.
right? Their piece of the pie on it so they can make money. So you got two big types of personal loans. You got mortgages and you got personal loans, right? So 5.5 Fed rate. The average fixed rate mortgage about 7%.
That's
So
yeah.
personal loans 5.5, right? It's a Fed rate. Good credit 720 to 850. Some of us, good portion of us don't have that, but good credit, it's 11%. So I
What?
wonder where, 11% for a personal loan. So I wonder where student loans, if it was moved back to the private sector, it's not going to be mortgages because mortgages has the security of taking your house.
Yeah.
What you
Okay.
going to take from me after I get my degree? You can't take my degree,
Sure.
right? So there's more risk involved. Since there's more risk, it leads me to believe it's going to be on the higher end of the threshold. Maybe not 11, 12%. I can see 8, 9. So we're going from damn near doubling the Fed rate
Well, I
for
was about to
student
say,
loans.
I think it because again, people got to make money. So 10 to 12 wouldn't be absurd to me when thinking about it. Unfortunately,
10 to 12 on like, how much does it cost to go to school now? Man, you talking about what, 2, 3
man,
hundred thousand?
easily that for 4 years, right? So
12%?
I think that they try to get away with it, right? So 10% of 400 grand is 40,000. And then you got to add the extra 2%. So you're looking at about what, 45,
Mm-hmm.
48, somewhere in there. It sounds like it's in lockstep of what's going on with student loans anyway.
Wait, what part?
The increase, the overexertion of taxing for loans, for federal loans, student loans at that. It sounds like it's in lockstep with what they're doing now. And again, like I believe that if people can get their federal loans forgiven, let them do it. And the reason why they won't, because we still have a bunch of politicians who have direct investments in that system and they make money from it.
Some do. So, all right, check this out. So I just said the Fed rate is 5.5. Right now, student loans are still issued by what, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, federal
Yeah.
government. Undergrad subsidized and unsubsidized loan rate as of August is 6.5. There's only a 1% gain in that.
For now,
But now, right? But if you push it back to private, what we talking about? Like 9-10%?
they're
Almost
going
double the
to
Fed rate?
kill people.
Exactly.
They're
And
going
then
to
you add,
financially kill people.
you got those old heads saying, well, I paid my way through college. Bro, it was a different time back then.
Yeah, that's when college for a 4-year degree you can get out of it by paying $10,000 for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's big business. And again, the issue that I have with colleges right now is, especially with younger folks, they sell you the dream. I think it's predatory lending, because they sell you, hey, we're gonna give you this $13,000 to go to school with this loan,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to do that and I'm keeping it small on purpose, right? We're going to give you this loan over the course of 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time you come out, you are $52,000 in debt without even having a job. That's on the low end, right? And we talked about that last week. So now you're a 21, 22-year-old that you already $50,000 plus dollars in debt. You don't have a house. Your car is barely making it. You work at a restaurant just so you can have something to eat on a day-to-day basis. And then you might end up having a kid because life's while you're going through this.
Hey,
Right?
you get the alcohol in your system, man, and start talking to you. Stuff start looking
Absolutely.
good.
Yeah.
Stuff that ain't good for you start looking good to you. You right?
Hey, look, one of the things that happens during depressions, three things that directly pick up in sales
Mm-hmm.
is sex, alcohol, and tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
Those things directly pick up. Every time the society goes into a bit of a depression, those sales begin to skyrocket again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you got more people who have to figure out how to make ends meet, so they become more susceptible to that form of making money. And then you have people who begin to self-medicate, and then you have the addiction to nicotine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it's predatory lending. I really, really do. They're promising people a product at the end of this journey of college, and they rarely ever deliver on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're $50,000, you're $75,000 in debt at 20, 24, 25, and you have no way to pay that back. So by the time you're 35 and you're 40, you're just now being able to pay on the interest that you've incurred over this time. It's predatory lending. Now, if they said we can guarantee that if you take this loan, you finish your degree, you'll definitely come out of school making $50,000, $65,000, and then you need to keep up with your payments. Well, then I won't have an argument for that.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't see that happening.
Nah, man. You don't.
So I believe it's predatory lending, and I think we need to, as a society, we need to go and take a look at that and figure that out for the better of our society, for American society at large. If we want an educated society, we have to back it. We have to back it. But that's not what this document is talking about. This document is talking about putting people back into the workforce.
And making them employees, yeah.
Yeah. Office for Civil Rights. I've been waiting to read this part for a minute. I have been waiting to read this. OCR should move to the Department of Justice. I'm going to pause for a second just to give a smile at that. All right. The federal government has an essential responsibility to enforce civil rights protections, but Washington should do so through the Department of Justice and federal courts. The OCR at DOJ should be able to enforce only through litigation. Wait a minute.
Not tied to funding. It's not tied to funding.
Wait a minute. So let's just say, and again, this is in the same vein as total immunity, but let's just say this was already enacted during Sister Sonia Massey, right?
Mhm.
The only that officer would not be removed from law enforcement unless it was unless it came out from court from the finding of there would be no arrest. He wouldn't be arrested. He wouldn't be held. The only way that he would have some type of reaction or action occur to him is after litigation, through litigation. And that's it. And let's also be honest about this. If it rolled out like this, how many back cases would be there? Like how many cases are the courts are going to get stacked and hit with so many, overloaded with cases that you're not going to see anything happen for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's not going to be litigated.
No.
It'd be impossible
No.
to litigate that. Man, this is devious. What you looking up?
I was looking up how the OCR operates now under the Department of Education, right? And they ensure equal access to education. It promotes educational excellence through vigorous enforcement of civil rights and through funding.
Yeah.
Because you slap somebody's hand, take away that money, they act quick. So I was just wondering how they operate now. That's just a small segment, and taking that away, moving them to the Department of Justice only through litigation, it takes forever. Like you're right, man, it takes forever. Appeal after appeal, rebuttal after rebuttal,
Yep. You can have
mistrial, reschedule.
people can try to go to college and be right, like justly discriminated against, but they won't have their cases heard until 8 to 10 years after the fact. Well, they could have gotten several degrees in that time frame.
Yeah.
And by that time, that the judge is going to be like, "Well, what do you want to have happen?"
Mhm.
Right,
Like,
and then
I
it
would have
just
forgot. I would have
yeah,
forgot.
yeah. It starts an ugly cycle and a horrible trend, And like I keep telling people, racism affects everyone. Racism, discrimination, it affects everybody. Everybody. It doesn't just stop with the victims of the action. It affects
man.
everyone. And unfortunately, people don't understand that point. But okay. So additional bureaus of offices. For those attorneys, accountants, experts, and specialists in the department's remaining offices subject to closure whose positions might nevertheless be a key component of serving the mission, positions that might include the Office of the Secretary, Deputy Secretary, Office of the Undersecretary, Office of the General Counsel, Office of the Inspector General, Office of Finance and Operations, Office of the Chief Information Officer, Office of Communications and Outreach, and Office of Legislative and Congressional Affairs. The opportunity to join other agencies based on their expertise and the needs of other agencies should be made available. Should be. It didn't say that they will be. They should be made available. For example, OGC higher education lawyers would join the newly independent Federal Student Aid Office or the Department of Labor again, or the Department of Labor, and OGC civil rights attorneys would join the Department of Justice. These positions must first be determined to serve a continued mission need prior to being transferred. So what they've just stated is that they're going to cut this out.
Yeah.
Can't justify a need for you. Sorry. We thought we might have had a position. We should have, but in reality, we don't have anything for you. So we're sorry. That it's a literal deterioration of civil rights actions, civil rights lawsuits, civil rights protection, civil rights education, which directly leads into and also forces its way into voters' rights, voter suppression, voter education, freedom at polls, not to be harassed, so on and so forth. That's why this is heinous, man. This
Dude,
is evil.
wait till you get to the top of 331.
Okay. All right, here we go. Current laws relating to the Department of Education that require repeal. Okay. In order to fully wind down the Department of Education, Congress must pass and the president must sign into law a Department of Education Reorganization Act or Liquidating Authority. Wow, Liquidating Authority Act to direct the executive branch on how to devolve the agency as a standalone cabinet level department. Congress should pass the next president. Congress should pass and the next president should sign the Department of Education Reorganization Act. Current regulations are promulgated by or relevant to the agency that should be rolled back or eliminated. This is about to get scary. While the next administration works to distribute department programs across the federal government, it would need to thoroughly review the many education related regulations promulgated by the Biden administration. There are 5 primary regulation targets as of December 22 that require the next administration's attention. Regulations on charter school. What?
Mm-hmm.
Charter school grant program priorities, civil rights data collection, student assistance general provisions, federal Perkins loan program, and William D. Ford federal direct loan program final regulations. Non-discrimination on the basis of sex and education programs or activities receiving federal financial assistance, Title IX, and number 5, assistance to states for the education of children with disabilities, preschool grants for children with disabilities, equity and idea.
Yo, listen, I had to say it this way. There's only way I can say it to hit the point. Glass is like they saying, fuck your disabled kids.
That's exactly what they're saying.
They saying it out loud. Fuck your disabled kid, man.
This is your problem. You shouldn't have had them, but you can't get an abortion.
No, don't do that. We want your kid. We need your kid in our district so we can swing the district this way or that way.
Wow.
We need that point.
That's heavy. That's heavy. And again, current regulations promulgated by or relevant to the agency that should be rolled back or eliminated.
Yeah. We already talked about the Perkins loan program before, how they try to dismantle that office. They're hitting it again. It's like trying to kill weeds in your yard. You can spray that Roundup, right? You get the stuff on top. It's still coming through. Okay, I got you on your flower bed. What you do? You put down that tarp.
Yeah.
Kill it at the source. They're killing it at the source.
Absolutely. They're going to roll back funding. Wow. And I do agree with, I like this comment. It was about Sonia Massey. The governor requested the sheriff to step down in that case. And I agree with that decision. I absolutely agree with that decision. Let me continue reading this. I just want everybody to know that this is a direct attack to roll back funding for preschools and, funding for preschools for children with disabilities. I don't know how y'all gonna figure out how to work. I don't know what you're gonna do with that kid. I don't know how you're gonna get that kid proper education. I mean, you can't stay at home. You need to be back out here up under the Department of Labor figuring it out. That is
Yeah.
geniusly evil.
Yeah.
The next administration should also review regulatory changes to the school meals program under the Department of Agriculture and changes to the income driven student loan program. Additional Biden administration regulations on number one, gainful employment, administrative capability, and financial responsibility for institutions that participate in the federal student loans and grants programs. Title V, accreditation of post-secondary institutions and female athletics are expected in to be released in 2023. Let me read that again.
That ain't make sense to me either.
Additional Biden administration regulations on gainful employment, administrative capability, and financial responsibility for institutions that participate in the federal student loans and grant programs. The Title VI, accreditation of post-secondary institutions and female athletics are expected to be released in 2023. Okay, so
These are
that's what this is.
regulations
Yeah,
that he's gonna roll out. Okay.
yeah, they haven't rolled out that the Biden administration, the Biden administration rolled out, but they don't have the data. They didn't have the data for this
At the time of this document, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they didn't fail to make sure that they put it up under the banner of possible rollbacks or elimination
Bro, we don't know what you about to roll out, but we don't like it. I
at
don't like
all.
the way you walk. I don't like the way you talk. I don't like the way you dress. We killing it on site.
That's thoroughly review the many education-related regulations promulgated by the Biden administration, as well as the school meals program and the income-driven student loan program. Why? First off, let's talk about the American Agricultural Society, or agriculture at large, and let's talk about it as a corporation. Because if people didn't know, I'll be one of the first to say it, and hopefully I'm educating somebody on this, that America wastes more food from our agricultural society than what we actually know. There are whole fields of corn that are just done away with. There are meat products that are simply soiled and done away with because there's no money to be made from it, or it's in an abundance, so you can't create the supply chain effect from it, right? So there's no reason why schools can't have funding for meals. There's no reason why the agricultural society can't meet that demand as well, right? And so even when it comes to income-driven student loan programs, because you do have a large amount of quote unquote inner city kids that qualify for the FAFSA, so on and so forth, because of the income-based grants and loans that are given to them, that they're trying to remove this stuff from our society, from people who need it. And it's largely based on the fact that there's another segment of society that doesn't need it at all. So if they don't need it, we'll just throw this off by the wayside. And then what we'll do is we'll transfer, like they mentioned earlier, we'll transfer these programs under something or someone else, and we'll use it the way we see fit. But y'all aren't worth this funding. Your kids aren't worth those meals. Yeah, they want the families to shoulder the costs, and it's next to impossible. So you're removing funding from preschool. You're forcing families who already can't afford it to spend more funding on meals for their kids, and then you're restricting their ability for education to actually achieve more.
I got some more data coming at you hot.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
2 points. All right, so to be in households who must have an income between 130 and 185% of the federal poverty level to qualify for those free student loans, student meals, right? I remember some of those student meals, man. It wasn't good.
I used to smash them. The little
you remember
pizzas.
the square? Hey, you throw some ranch on it, some hot sauce. Hey, it go down good, man.
They used to serve breakfast. They used to
Yeah.
serve breakfast at one of the schools I went to.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get breakfast at the house.
I hadn't had the breakfast there, but I had those lunches, man, and those weird looking rectangle fries, man, almost translucent. Um, but yo, just a household of three, a household of three, 46,060 per year. So this is called an even 46,000 a year.
Okay.
You have to make that's the line or below to qualify for student lunch. All right. So then the next logical question would be, what's the average Black household income?
30 to 35,000.
And on here they rounding up. They gave us well, okay, this is also based off of 2021 data. It could have gone
Okay.
lower. 46. So 46, 46. So the average Black household income is at the household of three level for student lunches. To your point, we don't need that.
Exactly.
Most of us, a
Yeah.
portion of us don't need this. A
Yeah.
portion. Let's toss
Yep.
it. But what the hell did they think? I just came up with something. I got to research this. It's against the law to miss like school, right? If you skip
Yeah.
school,
Truancy court.
you go to court.
It's truancy. Yeah.
And you just talked about, I think with your cousin or maybe before, about the presence increasing. If I'm a single parent, right? I can't afford to send my child to school. What I'm going to do? Keep them at the house while I work. They mix X amount of days. School quality authorities, which a lot of this stuff is now following the Department of Justice. I'm a minority, going to go into the OCR under the Department of Justice.
Absolutely.
Come in, snatch it. Either that kid's going to foster care, or somebody's going to jail, or somebody's going to have a record that's going to increase the odds of becoming a new slave.
Yeah.
Bro, this is some mastermind. This is some peeking in the brain stuff right here, man. This is, I just want to say, objectively, this program, the thought they put into it, they were thinking 2, 3, 4, 5 levels deep.
Oh, easily. And what's so scary is that they kept it such a secret for so long.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? There was recently one of the authors of this document had to step down off of former President Trump's campaign because although it's still not a widely known document, people are starting to get hip to it.
Yeah.
And since his name is attached to it, you know what? Let me do something because I heard something earlier today that
Was he the president of the Heritage Association?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget his name, but while you're looking that up, it's just the amount of like thought and the time and how they align certain things, it's a domino effect, man. It's genius. It's fucking genius. It's evil genius.
Absolutely. Again, a lot of the stuff that American society has gone through, even at the current day, if you look at how it enslaved its citizens, and then you look at the different projects that it did, even when it comes to the health, right? In St. Louis, there was a thing where they had carcinogens that were spraying out. It was done as an experiment for St. Louis citizens, and a lot of people got sick from it. Those studies have been published. People have been looking at these things for decades, and all of that effort, all of that thought, all of that energy went into creating this document to roll everything back to 100 years from 1965, 1964. To roll it back again. One of these days, I'm going to play a reading of the Cornerstone speech. That's what I'm going to do.
Last time,
just so people can see. Yeah, so people can see the similarities of this. I'm trying to find something. I wanted to make sure. I was thinking about USAID earlier today because they do a lot of humanitarian stuff, and I was able to trying to see if I have a preface on this one, this specific thing. Paul, Stephen Groves, acknowledgments, yada yada yada. Because I heard that JD Vance had
Had sex
written.
with a sofa.
Maybe not. Let me just type in
Oh,
JD.
with that JD Vance had a piece in this?
Yeah.
Bruh, no, man, no way. Just from his comments that I've heard, I cannot believe this man has the intellectual bandwidth to be a part of a document so elegantly written and evil, mind you. I don't agree with it. It's evil so far, this portion that we read.
Well, let's not make any mistake about it. He also went to Yale, so
I see a legacy.
no, he was funded. There were billionaires that actually funded him through that.
Oh, I wonder why.
So that they could shape the future playing field. Yeah, he was funded through school. And what I want to do is go back and look at his military experience and see what he did and how he contributed and what his what is I want to say accolades, but not so much accolades, but just to see what he did during his service. But because I think that's relevant to where we are, because it's easy to say that somebody was a part of the military service. The cop that killed Sonia Massey, he was former Army. So simply saying that somebody was in the military doesn't mean that they are just the most just and upright people. He got kicked out of the Army. So that's all I'm saying. But let me read. Charter school grant programs. Congress first authorized the charter school program, CSP, in 1994, Title 10, Part C of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965, ESEA, as amended 20 USC subsection 8061, and whatever that is, 1994. It most recently reauthorized the program in 2015 as part of the Every Student Succeeds Act. On March 14th of 2022, the department published a notice concerning proposed priorities, requirements, definitions, and grant selection criteria relating to the award of federal grants to applicants in CSP. This proposal increases the federal footprint in the charter school sector by ignoring statute and adding to the list of requirements imposed on charter schools. The new administration must take immediate steps to rescind the new requirements and lessen the federal restrictions on charter schools. Why? Why? So it gives a lot of this information, but it doesn't tell us the why.
Exactly.
I'm finna start highlighting this stuff that I got to go back to, because it doesn't you're just telling me what needs to happen, but you're not giving me the why. And that doesn't feel genuine. I'm gonna start highlighting this stuff so that I can go back and look at it. Get off of here. Get out of there. All right. Civil rights data collection. On December 13th, 2021, OCR published a notice concerning the proposed revisions to OCR's mandatory civil rights data collection, in which it proposed to create and collect data on a new non-binary sex category. Oh, I see where they're finna go with this. In addition to the current male or female sex categories, and to retire data collection that indicates the number of, number one, high school level interscholastic athletic sports in which only male and female students participate. Number two, high school level athletics teams in which only male or female students participate. And number three, participants on high school level interscholastic athletic sports teams in which only male or only female students participate. These poorly conceived changes are contrary to law, fail to take account of student privacy interests and statutory protections favoring parental rights under the Protection of Pupils' Rights Amendment, and jettison long-standing data collection that assist in the enforcement of Title IX. Now, what I will say to this, I don't believe biological males, which would be transgendered women, should play sports with biological females. Certain sports, not all sports, but certain sports. Um, and that's because of the natural anatomy that we have. Now, sure, there are cases where uh, men aren't as strong as women, right? But by and large, if you have an athlete, if you have a male athlete, let's just take MMA.
Athlete's a key word. Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about athletes. We're not talking about your normal people. We're talking about people who keep themselves in specific shape to do specific things.
Right. Key thing.
Yeah. Let's just look at a high school level. At a high school level, you're less likely to find a young lady, biological lady, who can keep up with biological men on a basketball court
Right.
or on track and field or wrestling,
Right.
these types of sports. And so I think it's worth being said that there needs to continue to be male only sports, female only sports. And if it becomes such a thing, make a space available for transgendered students,
Mhm.
right? That way, there's no confusion. That way, there's no locker room interruptions. That way, that at the bottom line, we want to keep people safe. We want to keep our students. We want to keep our kids safe. And we
Right.
both know, when we were young men, where we were as far as our hormones are concerned at that age. So I think to keep kids safe, to keep kids safe, and to keep parents out of jail, there definitely needs to be separation. There needs to be separation, whether it be because young boys don't know how to control the penises, or young boys don't know how to act civilly towards a transgendered person.
Here's my question. I I haven't seen too many. What is it? Transgendered men, right? It's women who want to be
Yeah,
men,
yeah.
pushing into those spaces.
I
Or haven't, at least if there are, they're not as loud as the transgender women, men who want to be women into women's spaces.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
It,
And
I,
I think
I,
it's done like that on purpose.
yeah, because I haven't. I know. Let's say the WNBA, they want to be paid like men. Let's take the pay out of the argument. I don't hear them saying they want to play in the NBA.
Hell
I don't
no.
hear that. But I do hear not NBA players, but I hear men, high school. I've seen articles of high school boys wanting to play in the girls' league because of that strength advantage that they
Yeah,
have.
yeah. It's an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
And so again, this pushes the part of, I believe people should have the right to define who they are, right? Without regard to who infringing on anybody else with that belief. But when you begin to epistolize it
Mhm.
and try and force it to be normal, right? That's when I think it crosses a boundary. And that boundary, it it precipitates, as it were, into sports. Right?
Mhm.
Part of that comes down into sports. I don't think that transgendered women should be allowed to participate in certain sports with biological women. It's an unfair advantage.
Right.
On boxing, fighting, swimming, all these
Strength
things
related
are already,
sports.
yeah,
You want to do
yeah,
checkers, chess, have at badminton. I don't know how strength really is a big.
yeah. It's not a defining thing.
No, it's not. I don't know about table ping pong. I'm not sure. I don't know. But
No,
yeah,
there's some women that'll tear your ass up in ping pong.
that's kids that would tear me up in ping pong. I can't. I don't have the coordination for ping pong. I don't know how they see the ball that quick and react.
Yeah,
But no, I'm with you on that, man. It's for the safety of everyone involved.
it is.
Um,
It really is. So I'm gonna push through and I'm gonna read this down at 3:32, and then next week, or yeah, next week, because I got a live Friday, and then
okay.
I'll be doing some things for my lady, because we're trying to get some content out for her and her lines. I'll be doing that Saturday,
Okay.
and I have to do an interview on Monday. But just to get through this, I'm trying to figure out how we can quite possibly do this more than once during the week, because I want to get through these hot talking points, and then I want to actually switch over to Agenda 47 as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. We can talk offline about some ways to streamline it, and then also have more sessions
Yeah,
simultaneously.
yeah. So I'll pause in place and I'll pick
Okay.
back up right here on Wednesday. So
What's
because I
this?
don't want it to
3:31.
feel rushed. Yeah, I don't want this to feel rushed. I want us to be, especially because it's talking about the Office of Civil Rights,
Mm-hmm.
and like a lot of this stuff, and it's talking about removing and restricting funding, uh, putting Office of Civil Rights under the Department of Justice. It's talking about removing statistical data, right? And that's these things are that it takes us back again. I can't emphasize that enough. As a society at large, it takes us back. It moves us backwards. So
Oh, big time. Big
yeah,
time.
yeah. So I'll pause and place on that. I'll keep this up, and we'll come back to that uh next week. Next week. So what's your takeaway so far?
Bruh, so listen, we ran through this thing. I think we only agreed with them on the transgender aspect of it, right?
Yeah,
Um, Other than that, man, it's scary stuff. I'm glad that we're diving into this. It's helping me get a deeper understanding of it and sharing this information. I was talking to one of my beloved people, favorite people, one of my favorite people in the world, real close to me. I was talking to her, and she didn't know about Project 2025.
yeah,
And I consider her pretty smart, right? She has her own business down in Alabama. And I just summarized a little bit of it. And I'm just still shocked at how many people don't know. I'm just glad at the end of the day, we can say we did our part in trying to educate. I
absolutely.
can live with that. So, and it's helping my understanding. So I'm glad we're doing this, man.
Yeah, because again, what I don't want to do is I don't want to just give people my opinion,
Yeah.
right? Because my opinion, the value of my opinion it only goes as far as my nose, right? It's up to the other person to accept my opinion or not.
Mm-hmm.
But objective information, what's been written down in black and white, that's the part that actually has value, and that
Mm-hmm.
people deserve the right to hear. And I put it on screen just so folks know that we're not trying to add anything, we're not taking anything back or
Mm-hmm.
taking anything out. But I think people deserve the right to get the information, have it presented, and then form their own opinions based on that. That's what I think, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's not to say, hey, look at this Project 2025 thing and vote Democrat. No, that's not what I'm saying at
No.
all. You know, or
Nah.
the Congress. So it's just trying to present the information so people can actually base their opinions on something.
An
You
informed
know?
decision.
Yeah, an informed decision. And I think with doing that, we make everybody better.
Hey, you're
So
right.
yeah. So let's this is something that I do on every show. Every show. Let's move into final thoughts. Final thoughts. You up.
Oh, it's me first. You're not gonna give me the template. Okay. All right. I'm gonna jump right out there then. Woo.
So
You
final
know,
thoughts is whatever. It doesn't have to do it with anything that we were just talking about or reading. It can be something that you've been thinking about throughout the day. You know.
you know, okay. I got two. I won't do the first one. Um, Second one, man. Times are tough out here. I was talking to a friend of mine. He's thinking about just wiping up someone, not for love, not for any type of emotional feeling, but he said that nothing out here is priced for the single person. He wants to split. He wants to split that rent, groceries, bills, however they split it, man, because nothing out here is priced for the single person. And he said at his big age, he can't afford to be picky. And as he said that, I thought about it because I'm older than him. So maybe I should revise some of my priorities in dating, man. So it just had me thinking about that, man. That's one of my final thoughts. Definitely not related to Project 2025, but it's definitely something that occupied the space in my mind.
Yeah, but let me just. I gotta ask you about this.
Okay.
And the reason why I have to ask you about this is because um I've done some things in my life that were rushed, and I didn't give the proper time to think through these things. Uh, that I didn't dedicate that time to them like I needed to or I should have.
Mhm.
And so are you feeling a sense of being rushed, or do you think that you're missing a specific mile marker because you're single at this age? Do you think that your age reduces your ability to not so much be picky, but to find the actual person that you want to be with?
Yes, no, yes.
Okay.
Um, I wrote it down as you were saying it, but I forgot the order. What was the first question?
So are you rushing to get there
Oh,
essentially?
no, no, I don't feel like, no, I'm not rushing to get there. I think I'm still being very prudent with my approach to dating. Uh, the other one was about age. I do think that my age, I'm not one to try to date a girl in the 20s, right? So I'm looking at the 30s, right, for my age group. As we get older, we all come with more baggage, right?
Sure.
It's more difficult to date a single mom than it is to date a woman without kids. I'm not saying one is better than the other. I came across wonderful single moms. However, time is always time is a restraint, and my job I got to move. So the freedom of movement sometimes can be a restraint. And as I get older, I run into more single moms who have younger kids that fall under one of those, one if not both of those restraints, unfortunately. Whereas if I were like early 30s, I could date in my 20s. My dating pool, I would come across less of those, right? So I would say that component of age. American society, thankfully, I'm on the right side of it, where men were not penalized for our age, like women are penalized for the age.
I agree with that
Um,
100%.
so I realize it's a double standard, it's not fair. I don't feel the effects of it because I'm a man, but I acknowledge it. So as far as age, nah, I'm still physically fit, try to take care of myself. But do I feel like I'm missing out on milestones? That was one. Yeah, yeah, I do. My son's 18. I wasn't there for, I think me and you talked about this, a lot of his key benchmarks in life because we were in different states, right?
Mhm.
So I'm excited to have him come up here and stay with me. But it's a year, it's a snapshot of time. I'm appreciative of it, but still. Um, so yeah, as far as dating, I felt like there were some in my past I definitely could have been with if my mind was right. So yeah, I think I missed out on some milestones. I don't want to miss out on more, right? I want to be able to enjoy having many healthy years I'm blessed with.
Yeah.
So the sooner I find someone I can settle down with, the sooner we can start investing and taking a journey through life with these healthy years, right? I don't want to be in my 60s saying I found the love of my life. And then
Mm.
as you get older, we just, life, man, age. So,
Okay.
so cheers to you on finding someone that you can focus on, man. And let's be real, man, having one sensible woman is a whole lot cheaper than dating plethora, just being out in the dating field, being single.
Absolutely. I agree with
Yeah.
that. That's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And it absolutely has its perks,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, okay. I was just wondering because at one point in life, I did feel rushed to try and figure this stuff back out, and I had made my
Mhm.
mind up to where I would never venture off into marriage again. And fortunately, uh, what I know about myself is I took the wrong approach at that. And whereas I was once absolutely closed off to it, being with the woman that I'm with now, I'm much more so open and willing.
Oh, snap.
Now there's a lot of work that I have to do yet, right? Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but um, that being a thing again is it feels a lot better than where I am now than where I was. So, and the best I'm saying all that just to say it's not something that we're rushing or we feel rushed to do, uh, because we're still every day we're learning something else about each other,
Yeah.
and we have hard conversations like everybody else. But I think when you get older, your decision to be with someone looks and it feels and it's shaped differently because you
Mm.
actually you know for a fact that you're making a conscious decision to be with that one person, right? Like you
Yeah.
were saying, that the dating is hard and it's a lot, and you've got to spread yourself thin, and you got to somewhat recreate yourself all over. While you're doing that, you're
Mhm.
also building up certain walls. You're becoming that thick layer of an onion because is not everybody deserves your vulnerabilities,
Mhm.
right? And as we
Mhm.
get older, we become a bit more callous to giving people that. So I do think that I'm and it's so much of like a it's not just being blessed or fortunate. I'm in the right place at the right time with the right person, and we're not rushing. It's a daily decision and a daily choice,
Mhm.
and it's something that we want to do with each other. So I just don't want you to feel rushed to do it because even if you do finally become 60 years old and you're finally finding the love of your life, at least you found that person.
That's true, but damn, bro, that's another 20 some years, you know?
I got it, but my mom died. My mom passed in April,
Yeah.
and she died single. You know, so if it's 60 that you find that person, at least you found that person, and you can progress from that point forward, and the rest of your
Yeah.
days will be blissful with that person.
Mm.
So, just a little bit of a different perspective. That's all.
Nah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I
That's
appreciate
all.
that. That's a way to it's a way to reconsider it and rethink about it. I like that part in peace, bro.
Yeah. All right. So let me do my final thoughts. Listen, like I said earlier, I have like the team that I'm working with right now, amazing group of men, amazing group of men. And I feel this is the best assignment that I've ever had in my military career.
Mm.
And everything's beginning to come full circle. I was able to see uh, the first property book officer that I worked under when I first got on AGR. I was able
Mhm.
to see him today and was excited to see him. And every time I see his name on something, I'm always excited to have nothing but the most respect for this man. Like he's a professional amongst professionals, and he always has been stellar soldier,
Mhm.
stellar soldier. So I was happy to be able to see him, shake his hand again, and converse with him. Uh, and even with all that being said, even the way that we all interact with each other,
Mhm.
uh, my supervisor, my coworkers, everybody, there's never a point of entry of being disrespectful to each other. And even when there's correction that needs to be had, it's done in such a respectful manner that
Mhm.
you're so willing to accept and listen to what's being said,
Mhm.
right? That it shapes the way you want to interact with other people after you. And that's actually the power of the non-commissioned officer in the Army. It's influence, right? It's how we influence the force. And so it's just being able to see and be immersed in that culture on a daily, and then also shape the minds of the young soldiers that we're working with is absolutely astounding. And I'm so my final thought is simply being appreciative of where I am in my career and being happy with where I am in my career. Uh, and just taking it all in. I think there are points in times where we don't take enough time to appreciate our successes.
Mm.
We hit a goal, and instead of us appreciating that goal, we are automatically moving on to the next goal.
Hmm.
And I'm really just trying to take the time to absorb, sit back, and hang out in where I am now. Uh, even with my podcast, even with the podcast, being able to say the things that I say, and figuring out how to be better with getting the message out. You know,
Mm.
making certain points of understanding and clarification when I can and when I need to. I think it's a great part of my journey right now. Being able to hang out with you not too long ago,
Yeah.
hanging out with Chris when he came here, even our little text message thread earlier today, between us three, right? But these are the small points
Yeah.
in life right now that I'm absolutely basking in, because I think we don't take enough time to enjoy these things and enjoy other people's and enjoy just simply living, regardless of what else is going on around us, just simply being happy and being present and being grateful of where you are and being mindful of it. So that's what my final thoughts are today.
I was heavy, man. No, it wasn't heavy. It was relevant and poignant, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, Friday, the topic for Friday, if you're available, and for all the listeners, we will be talking about, the topic is going to be, uh, can you have more than just one soulmate?
Oh man, hold on. I might have to hop in. We got Battle Assembly this weekend. It's a 4-day, but listen, if I could give you 30 minutes. I could give you 30 minutes. I can hop in, man.
Hop
Yes.
on and tell us about it. Yeah. So Friday, we just taking a little bit of a break from the heavier talks, and that's still a heavy topic if you ask me. Uh, but yeah, that's the topic. Can you have more than one soulmate?
You gave me so I'm gonna add, this is gonna be a conversation topic for me now till that day, so I can get other people's opinion on it, bring that with me on the
Yeah,
show. Uh
absolutely.
yeah, I like that. Okay.
Absolutely. And also, so just so everybody just, we continue to push forward and do big things. We do have an actual TV channel. I'm going to have to change it back up here, but it is strim.com/FBL podcast / the family bloodline. So go check us out on that. And it's the podcast going all day, of older topics, and even tonight's topic is going to end up being on there tomorrow. We've got some music from Manny Lugo. I've got interviews that I've done with Keith Ross and other people and my sister. But it's an actual channel that we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep pushing, and it's just gonna grow. We've got other artists that are going to be on there pretty soon by my brother Tech at Lo-Fi down in Georgia. We're gonna have his artists on. They're gonna be showing their videos. We'll have their videos in rotation. I got another cousin, Remy Rod, got his video, and it's in rotation. So all the up and coming artists are gonna be on there. All the hottest podcasts, all the best topics. That's what we're doing now. We pushing forward and we expanding. So come on, be a part of this enterprise, everybody. That's just train left the station, and we only getting better. We are creating a movement, a culture, and a family, and this is how you do it. So y'all could have been anywhere else in the world, but you decided to hang out with us, and we absolutely appreciate it. We're grateful for it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or you just want to be a part of the podcast, by all means, Whenever we post a link, hit the link and we'll bring you up. We do not censor, ban, or remove anybody from the podcast. We want to hear what everybody has to say. All right. So with that being said, thank y'all for joining. God bless and good night.